What's happening? And welcome back to Gav Goes In. You know what? I wasn't even gonna come live today, guys. But I thought, you know what? Obviously, I've been busy today, mad busy. But I thought, you know what? Let me just jump on and give you guys some more free content yet again. Sorry, signing up with the volume. So yeah, I thought let me just jump on, and big up to Reluctant Gamer. I thought, yeah, I'll jump on, give you guys some content, and obviously I haven't checked any of the news. Obviously, just literally just got in, and big up to Sham as well. And you know what, boys? Yeah, I knew both of you would be on as well because as you are always anyway. But again, Hugo Ekitike. Obviously, I'm seeing news that Liverpool have open talks for him. And guys, I want to get your views on we've putting the bias to the side. I want to get your views on Ekitike and where he might end up because, as we know, Newcastle. I mean, Liverpool's top target is Isak from the team that they're competing with Ekitike. So I want to hear from both of you. I want you guys to obviously no bias, put the bias to the side, and I want to know what you guys think about where Ekitike might end up. So yeah, let me know, guys. Big up yourselves for coming on as well each and every time. So Sham says I was on another stream with Gamer, which just ended. I was going to put my phone away and then your notification popped up. Couldn't miss it, bro. Yeah, bro, love for that, man. As I said, I wasn't literally going to go live, but because I've only literally just got in. But I thought, you know what, let me just jump on quickly. Big up to Daniela as well. I thought, let me just jump on. I just turned Sky Sports News on. I literally haven't seen no news whatsoever. And the first thing I see was, as I said, was Liverpool are now in talks with Ekitike. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Guys, make sure on your way in, you smash that like button and you subscribe to the channel as well. So again, much appreciated you guys coming on. And guys, as I said, I'm 13 away from 1,200 subscribers. So from 1,200 subs. So again, big up yourselves for supporting the channel. And if you haven't subbed, make sure you do as well. So Gamer says if it's up to Ekitike, he would definitely pick Liverpool. Big up to Flang over as well. Big up for coming on. Guys, listen, if you enjoy the stream, and you got questions, make sure you put your questions in the chat and let me know what you think about Ekitike, where you think he will end up. Today's obviously stream is gonna be more about you guys because I've got my feeling on where I think Ekitike goes, but I want to hear from you. And again, we'll get into some of the other news that's been breaking today as well. So Gamer reckons, but I think Newcastle might end up getting him. It's interesting though. So Sham says, I'm not being biased. I think Liverpool will still go for Isak and Ekitike will go to Newcastle. You know what? From what I've seen today, I'm hearing that Liverpool are basically asking Newcastle to name their price. I think there's reports, and I did say as well, I can see 120 million as the maximum that I believe that Liverpool would spend on Isak. But the only difference is I think Newcastle would have to show a willingness to part ways with him. So I think at this moment, I wouldn't say it's a definite that Isak stays at Newcastle. I know Newcastle have said he's not for sale, but I just wonder whether, if a bid does come in, because let's face it, no bids come in for Isak. So I think it's easier for Newcastle to just say, look, he's not for sale. But I think if a bid does come in, then that could change things. And again, Ekitike, for me, is going to be the common denominator for both teams. Because as we know, if Isak stays, Newcastle will still go for him. But if Isak goes, then Newcastle will have to bring him in. And then vice versa, if Isak's not going anywhere, Liverpool will be looking at getting Ekitike. So Ekitike is going to be the common denominator for both teams. Big up to Rakesh G as well. Big up for coming on, Rakesh. Guys, as I said, make sure you give me your questions, and I will definitely get back to all your comments. So Gamer saying, who do I think Ekitike will go to? I think he goes Newcastle. You know, it might be a bit of a surprise, but I think he goes to Newcastle. Um, I think he goes Newcastle. You know, I think it's obvious that I think a lot of people will probably be saying he goes to Liverpool. And I mentioned yesterday, you know, there is a slot there waiting for him to go to Liverpool because, as we know, Darwin Núñez obviously was subject of interest from Napoli. Napoli have obviously signed Lorenzo Luca from Udinese, which means the Darwin Núñez talk is off. But guys, I want you guys to keep an eye out for Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid could still come in for Darwin Núñez. You know, as we know, they do like South American strikers. So I think Darwin Núñez will still have suitors from Saudi and maybe from Atletico. So I still think he goes. And again, I think there's going to be a slot open for Ekitike. But I just wonder whether Newcastle are in most advanced talks with him already. Because as we know, Newcastle have made the first move for him. And I don't know. I just think I can just see him going to Newcastle, you know. And again, I don't think that's going to be because Isak goes. I think Isak stays, and I think Ekitike probably joins him as well, you know. But who knows? Sham says, we've spoken about it before. Newcastle have backed themselves up in the corner, shouting out that Isak is worth 150. So if that's the case, they need to double his wages. And Sham, listen, 100%, bro. As I said with Newcastle, Newcastle don't need to sell Isak, and they're not going to want to sell him. And I think when we're saying, is Isak worth 150? So Isak's not worth 150, but he's probably worth 150 to Newcastle. Because as I said, if Newcastle have to replace him, although there's Ekitike there, you know, Ekitike isn't a guarantee. Whereas Isak's come to the league and has guaranteed numbers since he's come there. So for me, Newcastle will have to probably get another player on top of getting Ekitike if he was to go there to cover the loss of Isak. You know, so to Newcastle, he's probably worth 150 mil. But if we're being honest, you know, there's no player really that's worth that amount of money. But to Newcastle, he will be. But again, as we said as well, yesterday, I think we touched on, the fact that Newcastle was saying that Isak is not for sale, you know, they have to offer him a new contract. You know, there's no way that Newcastle are going to say he's not for sale and there's going to be no new contract on the horizon. And as I said before, do not be surprised if Isak's next contract is going to be above 200. I think definitely it will be above 200 for me, you know. But yeah, as I said, man, they're going to have to offer him something, you know, if they're saying he's not for sale. But the thing is, I would like to see if Liverpool just offered 120 and see what Newcastle did. Because I believe Newcastle still turn that down, by the way, you know. But if they was to offer 120, we'll kind of know where we kind of stand with that bid with Isak. And as I said, I think 150 is probably what they're looking for, which I don't see Liverpool paying. But there's no secret that Liverpool want Isak. You know, there's no secret there. And if they don't get him, then they're going to go all out for Ekitike, which is to be expected. But as I said, I see him going to Newcastle, definitely. Yeah, Gamer says Newcastle would definitely up Isak's wage. Guys in the chat, let me know how much you think Isak's going to be on. If Isak gets a new contract, how much do you reckon he's going to be on? Because I think Newcastle's highest earner, I believe, is Bruno Guimaraes on, I think, 160. So let me know how much you think Isak is going to be on if he signs a new deal. Because again, I think he's going to be on, I think he's going to ask for 250. No problem. But let me know. Sham says they can use that 120 on Ekitike for around 75 million. Buy a centre-back and probably a midfielder as well. Yeah, Sham, I agree. And let's not forget as well, you've got Luis Diaz, who, you know, Luis Diaz looks like he's angling for a move. And obviously Liverpool have come out and said that they want to keep him. But it's looking like he wants to move. So, you know, if Diaz does go, let's say, then Liverpool are going to have some money to spend. And I believe if that happens, I expect Liverpool to bring in at least 2 players. So that's one to keep an eye out for, I believe. But if they've got 120 to spend, then for me, yeah, I think they're best placed to spend that on buying another centre back, definitely, because that's what they need. Because as we said before, one injury to Van Dijk or Konate, you're playing Joe Gomez and a youngster, and that's not going to be good enough to sustain a title challenge and to go deep into the Champions League. So, as I said, I think they should be looking at a centre back, but there's nothing concrete at the moment. I know there was Mark Guehi they were looking at, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that one. So Gamer says, I think Isak will stay and we'll get Ekitike. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what's going to happen as well. But again, we could be wrong. We could be wrong. But if you're a Newcastle fan or Liverpool fan and you're in the chat, make sure you drop your comments and let us know what you reckon happens with Isak and Hugo Ekitike in this summer window. So Gamer reckons over 220. Sham says, if we know 100% that we can't get Isak, then we will go in for Ekitike full on. Yeah, and I expect that. But I'm quite surprised that there isn't any other striker that Liverpool are looking at. And I think the reason that they're looking at Ekitike strongly is because of Ekitike, the fact that he's very mobile, because I think Liverpool are looking for a more mobile striker rather than someone that is just going to be, your type of fox in the box or target man. So I can see why they're going for Ekitike. But if Ekitike goes to Newcastle, it'd be very interesting to see who Liverpool actually go for. Because maybe they might go for Premier League proven. There was talk about John Philip Mateta as well. And I reckon Mateta might be the option if Ekitike chooses Newcastle. So that could be one to watch, guys. One to watch, So Newcastle are in more advanced talks with Ekitike. Yeah, so that's what I've heard as well. I think what it's going to come down to is game time for one and the pool of either manager. Because I think Ekitike is probably looking at it right now, knowing that Isak is the main striker and he's going to play second fiddle. But then in a sense, Eddie Howe might say, look, we're going to try and use you in different positions. We're going to try and use both of you together. We've got Champions League football as well. We're a team on the up. These things could be a factor. But I think Liverpool, for me, many people might say Liverpool because they're the Premier League champions right now. There's more of a ready-made place in the squad, in the team as well. So that could be a driving factor. But I think it's going to come down to the two managers and in what they can kind of offer Ekitike for me, But again, I think Ekitike is a very good player. But is he worth the money that both teams are looking to spend? I'm not too sure. But again, beggars can't be choosers because the strikers market ain't that great at the moment. So as I said, yeah, I think it's one of them things where we're gonna have to wait and see. Gamer says Ekitike is not guaranteed to succeed in the Premier League, so it's vital we keep Isak. I see Isak in black and white playing Champions League. And what I would say about Ekitike, I agree with you, Gamer, because we obviously the German league's different to the Premier League, obviously, But what I would say is that Ekitike fits the mold in terms of, he's got the physicality in terms of the pace and the strength. He's got the movement as well. And I think he does suit English football. And let's not forget as well, he was formerly at PSG, and the fact that he's worth 80 plus mil now just shows the progression that he's had. But what I would say is I don't believe he scores the numbers that I don't think he scores the numbers that Isak will, but he might provide a different threat for Newcastle for sure. So but yeah, I think he'll do well. I do think he'll do well. And again, he's someone that I'd like Man United to go for. But when Newcastle and Liverpool are in the frame for Ekitike now, there's no way United are getting him. So there's no point even talking about that. Sham says, regardless of advanced talks, many deals in the past have changed ways in the latter stages. I agree. And this is why I'm saying it's going to come down to the vision that both managers present to Ekitike. you know, and I think a lot of it, as I said, is the game time. So that's going to be a massive factor. Guys, there's 24 of you in there watching. Let's smash the like button if you guys are enjoying the stream. Again, it's free content, guys. So, you know, make sure you smash that like button and show some support. Help the channel to grow. And again, make sure you check out my other content as well. And if you're new in here, make sure you sub to my channel at GavGoesIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. And I'm on TikTok. So big up yourselves and keep your questions coming in. Big up to Hannibal Yamain. Hannibal says, you built different. Yeah, listen, it's hard work in the gym, man. And obviously it helps when you have a sporting background and a fitness background as well. So big up yourself, man, for coming on. Big up to Lafabo Mokoro says, hi, beautiful dad. I'm not a father, so sorry to let you know that one, but I'm not a father, man. But big up. And yeah, at the moment I don't want no kids, man. So I've got a lot of things to focus on. So that's the main goal at the moment. But big up yourself anyway. I'm guessing you're from South Africa, Lafabo Mokoro. Yeah, it must be South African. But big up. Big up to Broderick each and every time as well for coming back through. Sham says, I've read it that if he gets some sort of green light, we've already got a 120 million package ready to offer. And to be honest with you, Sham, I don't doubt Liverpool have that money to offer, because all you have to look at is that Liverpool didn't spend any money last season. You know, so again, they've spent about 120 or something on Florian Wirtz. If you look at the Frimpong deal, you know, they've not spent nothing because that's in installments, and the Trent money was used on the first installment for Frimpong. I think Kirkes was about 50 mil. So yeah, as I said, I think I reckon they've got that money, because the fact that they're strongly interested in Isak, you have to believe that they've got that money ready and waiting. But for me, it's not going to take 120 to get him out of Newcastle. I think if Newcastle show a willingness to sell, I think you're going to have to reach that 150. And I think the 150 might even come in installments, you know. So, but again, at this moment in time, unless Isak comes out and says he wants to leave, because again, I don't think he's going to come out and say that, because he knows that his connection with the fans, you can obviously see it's there. So I don't believe he comes out and says he wants to leave. But if Newcastle say, you know, we won't accept nothing less than 150, then I think there's something to work with there. But I think until that, I think he's gonna stay put, you know. Gamer reckons Isak will be 100% on 220k minimum. I agree. I think 250 is probably what we're looking at. Big up to LHD Squad says, do you smoke? I don't. But I drink occasionally. You know, I got red wine and Coke. It's what my team's driving me to do at the moment, Man United. So yeah. But no, I don't smoke, man. I don't smoke. Big up to Oz. For coming through. Yeah, big up. LHD Squad says Jota, rest in peace, Jota. Yeah, each and every time, man. Again, you know, Diogo Jota, very underrated footballer, man. You know, I think in terms of his movement, you know, his movement in the league, in terms of Premiership strikers. And let's not forget, Jota was actually a left winger at Wolves. I mean, his combination with Raul Jimenez at Wolves was frightening, to be fair. With Adama Traore as well. And again, him going to Liverpool, you know, wasn't always a starter, but again, was someone that needed to be watched when he was in that lineup, because his movement and his aerial ability, I'll tell you now, for someone of his height, aerially was very good, you know. So yeah, he'll be a massive miss to football and a massive miss to Liverpool as well, man. So as LHD Squad has said, man, RIP Diogo Jota, and to his brother as well, Andre Silva. So Gamer says 2 best mods on YouTube here. Yeah, big up, man. Big up, Gamer, and big up, Sham, each and every time. So big up to Bin Farhad, says, I'm an Arsenal fan. Um, so, Bin Farhad, I want to ask you a question, yeah, if you're still in the chat. Tell me what you think of Arsenal's transfer window this season. Because what I want to know is, do you think it's acceptable from Mikel Arteta to finish 3 times in a row, second in the league? And his answer to that is Noni Madueke for 55 mil, which, again, you would have to believe he's bringing him in to start. Christian Mosquero. Again, he's going to be a squad option, back up to Saliba and to Gabriel. Zubamendi, I think, is a very good footballer, but losing Thomas Partey and bringing in Zubamendi, do you think that takes you on a level? And what happens when you get Gyökeres in, if he does come in? What happens to Kai Havertz? Let me know in the chat, Bin Farhad, as you're an Arsenal fan, because I want to get your views and see how you're gonna shape the season, or how Arteta is gonna shape the season. Big up to Harvey22 as well for coming on, guys. Come on, there's 27 of you in the chat, and there's only 9 likes. Come on, smash the like button and sub to the channel, man, if you're enjoying the content, and keep your questions coming. Big up to Callock, says, do you think Vinny is going to cook 2025, 2026? Great question, Callock. What I would say, and again, if you've been in on my streams for a while now, you probably know where I'm going with this. I don't think Vinicius Jr. has a great season next season. And there's one reason for that. Kylian Mbappe. You know, not because Vinny isn't good, but what you have to look at with Vinicius Jr., he was the big dog. So when it was him and Benzema, you know, obviously Benzema was the star, and Vinny was like the young upstart, you know, and then obviously Rodrigo was coming into his own as well. What's happened now is that, I had a conversation today actually at work with a couple of colleagues, and I was telling them about Real Madrid, which they didn't really realize. But if you look at Real Madrid now, you know, they've got Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, and Rodrigo, 3 players who are wide players. And again, you've got Rodrigo, who actually plays as a left winger. But again, as we know, his profile is less than the others, which means he has to play on the right-hand side. So the problem is with Vinicius Jr. is that he was the big name when it was him, Rodrigo, and when Bellingham was playing as like a false 9 come attacking midfielder. The problem is now, because Mbappe's come in, and Mbappe arguably has a bigger profile than Vinicius Jr., that's kind of taken away the shine from Vinicius Jr. So Vinny Jr. has probably gone into his shell a bit because Mbappe's there. So to answer the question, Callock, I think as long as Mbappe is there playing central striker with Vinicius Jr. on the left, I don't think Vinicius Jr. is going to shine as much as he would have done previously, you know. And again, against the better teams, them two there with Bellingham in the midfield is not going to work. So yeah, I don't think he cooks. And don't be surprised, guys, because I heard something as well that Vinicius Jr. is asking for a new contract, and what he's asking for is way in excess of what Real Madrid want to offer. Now the thing is, I can see why Vinicius Jr. is asking for a lot of money, because he wants to see how committed Real Madrid are to him now that Mbappe's in there. So the fact that he's asking for a lot of money and Real Madrid don't seem inclined to give it to him is because they're probably looking at it as we've got Mbappe there, and they probably wouldn't be as fussed if a bid come in for him and letting him go. So I think he wants to see the commitment from Real Madrid to him, you know. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, put it that way, if Vinicius Jr. does eventually move on, whether it's this season or next season, because I think as long as him and Mbappe are in the same team, I can't see that gelling and working for me, you know. But big up, man. Great question. Bin Farhead says, what do you think about new deals for Arsenal? I'm a massive fan of Ethan Nwaneri, to be honest. Obviously, looking at Wanyeri is going to sign a new deal. I think Wanyeri is making a big mistake, if I'm honest with you, because the fact that Madueke has been brought in, I believe Madueke starts. I don't know how, but you don't bring in someone for 55 mil, 52 mil, and put them on the bench. So I believe he's going to start one way or another. Now, that means Wanyeri gets pushed further down the pecking order, and what the problem I think as well is that I heard that Wanyeri has told Arteta that he wants to play more centrally, basically play in the number 10. The problem that he has is that Odegaard's there as the captain, and if Gyökeres plays as a striker, Kai Havertz is a number 10 anyway. So that means he might get pushed down to third option in the pecking order in both positions on the right-hand side and as a number 10. Now, if Arteta has spoken to him and said, look, we count on you, we're going to make sure you get enough game time, fair enough. But I wonder, when it comes to the crunch games, is Arteta actually going to stick to that? So I think Wanyeri could be making a massive mistake for his career. But again, maybe Arsenal have a plan for him. But I look at the players that they've got and the signings that they've done, I wonder whether Wanyeri will get the game time that he wants. Who knows? Who knows? But let me know what you think, what you think, Bin Fayed. Let me know. Sham says, we aren't looking for an out-and-out number 9. We want someone that could link up with our number 10 and wide forwards. And as I said, some of you that probably haven't been through it before. So, I look at the Man United as the same thing. When you've got wide forwards, the likes of Mo Salah, that are goal-scoring wide players, you think of Cody Gakpo on the other side, Luis Diaz, he might be going, he might be staying. When you've got goals coming out from wide, you don't necessarily need a number 9 striker that's going to get you goals. If you've got a number 9 striker that can link the play and get you numbers, then obviously you're laughing. But again, this is why I said João Pedro would have been perfect for Liverpool, because João Pedro can play as a false 9 and can play as a target man striker as well. So he would have been perfect for Liverpool. And again, if you've got wide forwards getting you numbers, again, if you've got a central striker that can drop deep into midfield and link the play, this is where your wide strikers will thrive. Man United is the same thing. When you've got Cunha on the left, and then you've got Mbeumo, if he does eventually come in on the right-hand side. Again, Joshua Zirkzee, for me, just needs to be restored back to being the striker, and then he'll knit that all together, because I'm not expecting Zirkzee to get 30 goals. That's not what it's about. But what Zirkzee will do is that he'll occupy the defenders, he'll link the play, and he'll make the team play better as a whole. So, and if you've got wide forwards in Cunha and Mbeumo, if he does come in, then you're getting goals there. So the goals are shared around. So let this be a lesson, guys. If you're a fan of a team and you're desperate for a striker, just have a look what you've got in the wide areas. Because if you've got creators in the wide areas, then obviously you would need a striker that's going to get you numbers. If you've got goals from out wide, then you'll need a false 9, someone that can link the play to get the best out of the wide forwards. The comparison that I always use, is imagine a front three of Marcus Rashford on the left, Erling Haaland through the middle, and then Mo Salah on the right. Now, on paper, people will tell you that will work because you're looking at the players itself, but that's never going to work in reality, because you've got 3 players there that are shoot-first players. And if you're looking at who's the more likely one to get assists, you look at Mo Salah. But then you've got 3 players there that in their own right would want to be the number 1s in their team. So to say that if you get 3 goal scorers in one lineup is going to work, that's not how football works. You need to have a combination. So you need to have at least 1 creator or even 2 creators and an out-and-out goal scorer, or have a creator, a goal scorer, and a false 9 that will link the play but can get you goals. If you got both, then you're laughing. So yeah, these are the things that people, I think, miss out on. But yeah, it's about having combinations. So Callock says, where would Anthony go after his loan deal, and will he be good there? To be fair, I wouldn't mind Anthony back at United if I'm honest, as another option because I do think Anthony does get like a rough ride from a lot of the fans, but I think it's quite obvious that he's going to be on the move because of his wage. I think if Anthony was on probably 120, 150, I could see him coming back to the club, getting another chance. But I think the fact that he's on a high wage, it's looking likely that he will move on. I think if Anthony goes to a team where he's allowed to flourish in terms of the style of play, because Anthony's a winger that wants to keep the ball. So if he goes to a possession based team, I think he does well. Where he ends up, you know, um, you know, there's been talk about Atletico Madrid, obviously Real Betis. I think Atletico Madrid he could do well. I know they're a bit more defensive, but they're a bit more compact as well. They're organized, so he could do well in a team that are a bit more organized, and then him being the creative spark in the team, just like Anton Griezmann, helping out Julian Alvarez as well. So that could work. But honestly, I don't see him going to any other team in the Premier League. I think it's either going to be abroad, Spain, Germany. I don't see him going to Bayer Leverkusen as well. Um, who knows? Borussia Dortmund could be a move for him, but could they afford the wages? But I think one thing's for certain. I think he does move on from United. But again, I think he has got a bit of a hard treatment from the fans. If I'm being honest, I think it's the wage. But yeah, I do think Anthony does have something to offer. But will he be good wherever he goes? I think he'll be decent. But in comparison to the money that he's on or was on at United, he shouldn't be on 200 grand. We know that. But as we know, United just play silly wages anyway. So big up to Maya Joshi says Vinny Jr. to leave Real Madrid. Do you know what? Just like Rodrigo, I think Vinicius Jr. might be looking at that as well. And again, the common denominator in there is killing Mbappe because Mbappe has a bigger profile than both Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. And I think if Vinicius Jr. continues playing with Mbappe, who's not even a striker, because let's face it, Mbappe should be playing where Vinicius Jr. is playing. I know Mbappe got goals last season, but Mbappe's not a natural striker. And if the natural striker comes in and he plays from the left, I think you'll see a better Mbappe. And again, it's not about focusing on goals, because goals will come. But in terms of the balance of the team, I think he'd be better on the left. But then you got Vinicius Jr. there, which is why Rodrigo, for me, he's the better footballer out of both of them. And this is why Rodrigo, for me, has to leave, because he needs to go somewhere where he's respected, So, yeah. Sham says, the question is, will Newcastle change their formation and play with two up front? They won't pay 75 million plus for backup striker. I don't know. Maybe Newcastle think they'll lose Isak. But as I mentioned yesterday, Sham, I think what's clever about what Newcastle are doing, it's a contingency plan, just in case Isak starts angling for a move in the future. Because I think them saying that he's not for sale is a good move, but for them, they have to offer him a new contract. And let's just say he rejects the contract because he wants more money. If they've already got Ekitike in, they've got kind of a ready-made replacement. So they're looking at him, for me, as a contingency plan. And to answer your question, do I see them playing two up top? I think Ekitike can play in the wide areas as well. So if you think, obviously, they've signed Elanga, they've got Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy, who can also play right back as well. I think Ekitike might be used in one of the wide areas if you want to play both of them. Or again, if they're losing the game, Eddie Howe might just chuck on two strikers and try and go for it. So there's a lot of options that Newcastle could do. But I think it's more of a contingency plan, what Newcastle are trying to do with getting Ekitike in. It's a smart move, really, And again, if they miss out on Ekitike, and let's say Isak gets an injury or starts angling for a move elsewhere, they might find themselves with no striker. So I can see why Newcastle want him, Big up to the cool guy, says mods should get paid. They do great work. Yeah, listen, my mods are always on job, man. So anyone coming in there talking shit, you just get timed out. So as I said, man, big up to all the mods, that come through and support the channel each and every day. But yeah, do I think they should get paid? I'll be honest with you, I'm not against that because they're as much as part of the channel as what I'm doing. So yeah, I would go along with that, definitely. Kalok says Vinny is leaving to Saudi. Well, I mean, who remembers, guys? I think Saudi offered were interested in Vinicius Junior. I think it might have been last summer. And I think the figures that they were looking to offer would have made him, I believe, the highest paid player in the game when he was going for the Ballon d'Or. So whether they revisit that again, I don't know. But I think you're going to see a few murmurs from Vinicius Junior. Because from what I heard, he wants a new contract, but the club are far and away apart in what he wants. So, and again, it's a power play from Vinicius Junior because before Mbappe came, Vinicius Junior was the key player. And he wants to see if Real Madrid still think of him as that. Or is it a case because Mbappe's come in now, he's kind of like surplus to requirements in a sense. So this is why he's asking for the big money to see how they still view him, which is a smart move. But again, Vinicius Junior or Rodrigo for me definitely has to move on. Sham says, and just holding firm on the value for Isak so they can get as much as they can. Yeah, but again, Sham, I don't see Liverpool parting with 150 mil. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I don't see that happening. If they do that, then I'll be shocked because if they part with 150, I've never seen Liverpool spend 350 mil in one summer. So I'll be very surprised, put it that way. Big up to Blake Avon. Guys, come on, there's 30 of you in there watching. Only 14 likes. If you're enjoying the content, it's free. Smash the like button and sub to the channel. And as I said, make sure you keep giving me your questions. Big up yourselves. Ekitike is such a great player. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a great player. I mean, when we're saying great players, we're saying players that have been doing it for season after season, that are regarded as the best in the world. I think Ekitike is a very good player. And can he become great? I'm not too sure. But he can become a very, very good player. He can become one of the best in the world in his position, I believe, in the next couple of seasons. But again, he needs to pick a team that is best suited to what he wants at the end of the day, Big up to Mukesh Kumar. Mukesh, man. Big up, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Blake Evans says Ekitike should join United or like Leipzig. I mean, personally, I think because he's in Germany already, I think him joining Leipzig, I don't think. I mean, is Leipzig a massive step up from what he is at Eintracht Frankfurt? I'm not too sure. I think if he was to leave Frankfurt and go to Bayern Munich, then I see that because obviously they're the biggest club in Germany. But what I would say is that Man United, I would love him at Man United if I'm honest, in terms of how I can see him functioning in the team. But what he's going to cost is a non-starter, so it's not going to happen. Big up to Gamer says Gav loves the drink. The next Gaza. Yeah, listen, none of that, Gamer, man. I know he's an idol and a legend of your team, but yeah, there's no way I'll be going down that route. But guys, if you get a chance, again, I like having the odd drink, on a weekend or as a relaxing one. Guys, try red wine and Coke. It might seem a bit off-key, but trust me, red wine and Coke, it slaps. Trust me. Red wine and Coke slaps. So give that a try, man, if you can. If you like red wine, that is, anyway. So Gamer says, I'm surprised Arsenal not went for Ekitike first. I'm not surprised because if you look at Arsenal, for instance, the only reason they were interested in getting Benjamin Sesko is because of the wage bill. Because Sesko is not going to come in on 200 grand a week. He's not. And again, Arsenal need a goal scorer in their team. So Ekitike is not really a renowned goal scorer, whereas Gyökeres, you would probably say is. So Gyökeres, again, was more of the option that they should have gone for in the first place, or an Osimhen, for instance. But I wasn't surprised they didn't go for Ekitike because they need someone that's going to probably guarantee them goals. And I think out of Ekitike and Gyökeres is more likely to go and do that. So, yeah. So Gamer says Arsenal need at least a cup next season. Third is not good enough. They need to challenge for the title like Liverpool, Man City. Gamer, I'll go one further. For me, and again, if you're an Arsenal fan, let me know what you think. For me, Arsenal next season for Arteta, they either have to win a Champions League or a league title. No FA Cup, no Carabao Cup. It's got to be Champions League or Premier League title. Because the money that's been invested in that club, into that team by Arteta, they've gone past trying to get an FA Cup or Carabao because it isn't good enough. So for me, they have to win a Champions League or a Premier League next season. And if that doesn't happen, what are Arsenal actually doing? You know, so I think saying that they got to win a cup next season, I'm guessing you're meaning Carabao Cup. And if it is that or a FA Cup, that's letting them off the hook. So for me, Champions League or league title, which they ain't going to do either. So, and I'm confident in saying that as well. I see Chelsea doing better than Arsenal next season with that PSG performance. They just need consistency. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea are capable, but again, seasons, obviously the league season's 38 games. So a one-off game, I'm not going to base that on how they'll do for the season in the league. But I think Chelsea are going to make a couple more signings with the money that they've got from that Club World Cup. So if they do that, then again, that can take them clear of Arsenal, you know. But I think there's still a long way to go in this transfer window. And I'll be very surprised if the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, you know, yeah, I think City and Liverpool, they've got 3 in already. I think both teams probably make an extra sign as well. But I'll be very surprised if the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, and Arsenal as well don't make a couple more signings. So, yeah. Sham says, Big Six Bants just went live. The description says Liverpool make contact with Isak plus Ekitike. They've obviously sources. We will find out more over the next few days. But yeah, we know that. Liverpool made contact with Ekitike because they've obviously had confirmation that Isak's not for sale. So, but I still believe that they're going to try and, you know, force Newcastle's hand for Isak. But if they come out with no Isak and no Ekitike, like that's going to be a big surprise and a big dent to Liverpool's confidence. I think Newcastle will be laughing personally, but yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? Big up to Cago Sikwi says Barcelona. Big up to Chris NUFC. So hi, I'm a Newcastle United supporter. Hugo will come to us. Yeah, big up, Chris, man. I believe he will as well. And I just think Eddie Howe on a slot obviously is going to be there, Paul. But you know, if he does go to Liverpool, I won't be shocked. But I just think that Newcastle might get this over the line. I don't know why, but I can see Newcastle definitely securing it. You know, so we'll have to wait and see, man. But it's going to be a battle. So Chris says 83 million for Hugo. Yeah, as I said, man, it's a lot of money for me on Ekitike, but I think they'll know what they're doing. Both teams, you know. And again, I think you look at his age, you know, he's going to be someone that you'd hope will be there for the next 8 to 10 years, you would say, if he's performing. So when you think about it, it's going to be value for money in a sense. But yeah, I think because of what he's done so far, 84 million is a push, but again, it's the market for you, you know. Chris says Watkins from Aston Villa will be good for Liverpool. You know what, Chris? Big up, man, because I didn't really see that one, Watkins, to be fair. But you know what? You have a point, because Watkins would fit into Liverpool's high press, you know, the mobility as well. So yeah, he would fit Liverpool good. However, Liverpool will be looking for a younger striker, because I think Watkins is turning 30 very soon. And again, what Aston Villa will probably want for Watkins, Liverpool don't really need to be going there. I think that's why they're looking at Ekitike and Isak, because Isak's in the prime at what, 26, and Ekitike is what, 22, 23. So that's why they're going for a more younger striker. But Watkins would suit what Liverpool are doing. He would. Big up to King Liam, says, man, what about Jackson? Bruh, is the guy staying there because the team is completed? I think Jackson. I don't know if Jackson goes, and I tell you why. Because I think what Chelsea are going to ask for, I don't know if other teams will be willing to pay that money. You know, I think Chelsea are looking for probably 60 million, which I don't see any team paying that for him. However, if Chelsea say, look, 40 mil, I think there's teams that will pay 40 million for Jackson, because it's quite obvious that Jackson isn't regarded as important anymore for Chelsea because of João Pedro and Delap coming in. So he could be on the move. So yeah, but I think it happens. I think if Chelsea lower their value, you know, then I think it's a possibility. But I can't see it being for 60 million in what's been quoted that they want for me. Big up to Finn Hart. I'm guessing you're Irish, Finn. But big up. So Finn says, are you a Man United fan? I am. Unfortunately at the moment, you know. But yeah, big up, man. Big up. Chris says, no, Finn, he's a Newcastle United fan. No, I'm not, Chris, man, but big up. I'm a Man United fan, man. And as Gamer said, he's a Man United fan, but he loves football in general. Yeah, again, like, I'm not someone on here that just talks about one team, because for me, I believe that narrows your it basically narrows you as a person in terms of what you can talk about. So I talk about plenty of teams, you know, because my education in football is just there. So yeah, but Man United is my team along with Barcelona. But just football in general, man. We talk about all different stuff on this channel. So, but yeah. Just gonna skim through some of the questions, guys. But big up each and every time as well. And remember, guys, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you do. So Sham, do you know what, Sham? Good question. I'm surprised PSG haven't been linked to Isak. And I think the reason for that is because Isak's going to cost a lot of money. And if we look at PSG, what they've done, you know, I think the Club World Cup was probably an eye-opener to them in terms of, you know, they can't really rest on their laurels and probably might need a different option if they are losing the game. But Isak's going to cost a lot. Isak would suit PSG, but he's going to cost, as we know, a lot of money. So this is why I think, because I don't see PSG parting with 150 mil on one player as it currently stands. So this is why I think Isak basically is going to be priced out of a move, I believe. So this is why I think PSG haven't gone. Although I do see PSG signing a big name. I'm not quite sure who it's going to be, but I can see them signing someone, you know. Big up to Leanne Cutter as well. Big up each and every time to Leanne for coming through with the love eyes as well. Yeah, big up, big up. Obviously, you're loving the stream. Right back at you as well, judging by that picture. But big up. Gamer says, Gab, we don't want paid, brother. We love the channel and the football talk. If you become millionaire in the future, give me a couple of dollars. Hey, Gamer, listen, fair enough. Not more to talk about that, you know. But no, listen, you guys make the channel what it is as well, because, again, you know, I'm talking to a camera, which I enjoy doing. But You guys, obviously, it's a community that I'm trying to build here. You guys show up each and every time. And again, you guys contribute to the channel as much as what I'm doing. So big up yourselves. And if it's a couple of dollars, listen, I ain't going to complain, man. If that's what you want, fair enough. But but big up, man, each and every time. Big up Sham says, I wouldn't want us to pay 150. Yeah. But this is what I say though, Sham, yeah. Whenever a player wants a team, money is no objective, you know. I don't care how much a player costs. If you really want a player, then you pay the money. If you've got it, obviously. I use PSG as an example. PSG really wanted Neymar, so they paid the money, even though 200 odd, was it 200 odd mil or whatever it was unheard of. But they showed intent that they really wanted the player. So what I would say on Liverpool's part, if Liverpool really want Isak, then they will put a 150 mil bid in. And as I said, if they put that bid in, you're going to give Newcastle something to think about, and you'll actually see where Newcastle stand on Isak. So this is what I always say. If a club really wants a player, then they'll just put the bid in. And as I said, until that happens for Isak, Liverpool want him, but not really that badly, I would say. So it's down to them at the end of the day. But big up, man. Big up to Sean Twedge. Sean says, I hope he goes to Newcastle to make them more competitive. Although he'd choose Liverpool 95% of the time if offered both clubs to choose from. Yeah, I'll go as far and say if Ekitike goes to Newcastle and Isak stays there, and then Newcastle, I'm gonna say, because I think goalkeeper they're gonna sort it out with Trafford, and he's more for the future, I think, as well. Future England number one. I think if they get Ekitike, they get a number 10, like a Jack Grealish, let's say, and another centre-back, I think you can start looking at Newcastle as trying to challenge for the title. You know, I'm not a massive fan of the Elanga signing, but I think in comparison to what Newcastle do, I think Elanga suits their team perfectly, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, I think there are a couple of signings away from challenging for the title, because I think as it stands now, they're not going to challenge for the title. But I think a couple of more signings in key positions, I reckon they can put up a title challenge for sure. But who knows? So Sean says we'll see you boys next season, Borough. Yeah, but Middlesbrough are not in the Premier League. They're in the Premier League. Broderick says, sorry, but that's an abomination of a trick. Yeah, big up, Broderick. Listen, bro, when I first heard it, yeah, I was like, nah, there's no way I'm trying that. Let me tell you now, that drink slaps. You know, it's one of the best drinks I've tried. You know, as I said, red wine, whether it's a Malbec and Coke, you know, even cherry Coke or normal Coke. Trust me, man. I was of the same opinion as you, but yeah, that drink slaps, man. I can't even lie. That's what I got now, man. Look, red wine and Coke. Yeah, man, that's nice. Coke's a bit flat though. I have to be honest. I have to blame the person that made it, but is what it is. Malibu with lemonade, or Sean, listen, Malibu with lemonade, or try Malibu with pineapple and coconut. Trust me, try that one. Once you try Malibu with pineapple and coconut, I promise you now, you won't go back to lemonade with it. I promise you. Big up to Dino the Lion. I say Newcastle will get him. Liverpool will get Isak. Dino, sorry. Dino the Lion, sorry. Dino, let me know how much you think it's going to cost, though. How much you think it will cost? Because I hear you, but I just had my reservations for how much it's going to cost Liverpool to try and sign him, you know. So I don't believe Liverpool pay the money either, you know. So, but yeah, no, big up yourself, man. So Broderick, I've never heard of red wine with Coke, only white wine and lemonade. Yeah, listen, white wine lemonade, that's old school, man. Try the red wine and Coke. I promise you, if there's anyone in the chat that's tried red wine and Coke, let me know. But yeah, listen, it will change your life, man. Just give it a try. I promise you, you'll like it. Chris Escobar says Arsenal ain't never winning Champions League. Listen, I have to agree with that. 100% agree with that. Not under this manager anyway, because this manager just doesn't have what it takes. And to sign Noni Madueke, yeah, questions should be really asked of what's really going on. Big up to Kathy. Yeah, big up Kathy for coming through. Sean Twed says 40 million Wanyeri to Chelsea. That's not happening because he's on the verge of signing a new contract, which again, I'm pretty shocked at because I thought Wanyeri was on the move. But again, he's probably getting assurances that he's going to play, which I can't see at the moment. So we have to wait and see, man, with that one. Dino the Lion says Liverpool need another winger, CDM and centre-back. Centre-back, definitely. CDM, I think CDM isn't really a necessity for them because, again, they could change to a three at the back and then have the two central midfielders of Gravenberch and McAllister. And then you can obviously always bring in other players to fill the positions there. So I think CDM is not really needed because, you know, I think they'll get away with that. Centre-back, definitely. And if Luis Diaz goes, then definitely need a wide player. But the problem is as well is that I think Harvey Elliott will stay as well because let's say Salah needs a rest or gets an injury. Who is going to play as an inverted left-footed player on the right-hand side? Because the only player they've got is Harvey Elliott that can do that role. Not the same role as what Salah's doing, but he can fill in that position if Salah gets injured or needs a rest. So I definitely think a winger, maybe two wingers, and a centre-back. I would say more. CDM, I hear it, but I don't think it's a necessity as what the other positions are for me personally. So Dan says, what's better, Master Run or Primo Wild on the cut? I ain't got a clue what you're talking about, Dan. But big up for coming through. I ain't got a clue. Let me see. Let's go through. So Dino the Lion says, if we sell Kanate and Diaz bring in Guehi, Isak, Rodrigo, and a CDM, happy days. Yeah, listen, I'm laughing here because I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility to sign those players. Do I think it's likely? No, because if you're going to sign Isak and Rodrigo to go with Florian Wirtz, you're looking at a £500 million window, which ain't going to happen for me. So, and Guehi. So, Kanate, for me, I see staying, even though I've seen the links to Real Madrid. But I think he agrees a new contract with Liverpool. Diaz, again, I think he's making moves to go. Whether that happens, I don't know. But Guehi, Isak, Rodrigo, I mean, that's a great window. And again, if you got those three players in, I mean, the title's done. Because right now, for me, City are just a slight favourites. But to get those three in, that's going to cost a lot of money. Just think that you spent 120 on, is it 120 already on Florian Wirtz or close to that? 50 mil, I think, on Kirkez. You know, and then you're going to spend another 150 on Isak, another 120 possibly on Rodrigo, or he might go for slightly less. You're looking at a £500 million window there, and that's not going to happen. So I can't see it happening, but who knows? Big up to Mr. Beats says, do you know Stephen Howson from Red Devils? I don't know him, but I think I've heard of the name. I've heard the name, yeah, but big up, man. Is there any reference to that? But I've definitely heard the name, but I don't know him personally. I don't know. So Dino says, I heard we can afford Isak and Rodrigo and Guehi still have 200 million in the purse in PSR. Listen, I'll be very surprised if all three of those players come to Liverpool. If that was to happen, then I'd have to say that has probably been the best window any team has ever had in Premier League history. To get Rodrigo, Guehi, Isak, Wirtz, Frimpong, and Kirkes in one season, it's unheard of. So I'm going to remain cautious right now because I can't see that happening, but who knows? Elanga looks very happy with Newcastle United. I think he would do very well for us. I think he will as well, purely because of how Newcastle play. I think he suits the system. So, and his pace will be a problem on the counter as well. So, big up to Ammo says, I'm a huge original Coke lover, but I've had to give it up. Too much sugar and it really isn't good for the gut. You ain't wrong, man. You ain't wrong. But if you ever change your mind, try it with red wine, man. That rhymed, actually. If you ever change your mind, try it with red wine. Yeah. Give that a go, man. Trust me. But big up for coming on anyway. Nah, Sham, don't encourage him. What's wrong with a classic sangria? Yeah, listen, sangria, man, that slaps as well. I mean, I had a sangria for time. I like Pims personally. I do like Pims. But yeah, listen. Don't knock it until you try it, man. Broderick, this is one for you, man. Give it a try. Red wine and cherry Coke. Trust me, it will change your life, man. And you'll come back and you'll say, you know what, Gav? Yeah, you've changed my life, man. So give it a try, man. Come on. Big up to Sonye Sonune. Is that Algerian? That sounds Algerian. Zinedine Zidane. That sounds Algerian to me. But big up for coming through. Guys, come on. There's 18 of you in at the moment. 20 likes. Make sure you smash the like if you haven't done so already. And make sure you guys sub to the channel. Again, guys, it's free content. If you are enjoying the content, check out my other content, my playlist as well. And again, keep giving me your questions, guys. And if you like the stream, again, make sure you sub. Ammo says, I think Isak stays and Hugo goes to Liverpool. Yeah, I think a lot of that's been happening. I think, put it this way, one way or another, Newcastle come out of this window with one or the other player. I think Newcastle either come out with Isak staying and Hugo Ekitike coming to them as well, or Isak stays and Ekitike goes to Liverpool, or Ekitike goes to Newcastle and Isak goes to Liverpool. I think one way or another, they're gonna do good business. So, yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen for me. So I'd love Ekitike to join us. He chose PSG over us already. He will want to go biggest clubs. Yeah, who knows? Who knows, man? I think it's still up for grabs, really, at the moment. As I said, it's down to the managers. So Ammo says, also, no way Gav has City favourites. Yeah, man, listen, for me, I think that window of Ait Nouri, and the way I look at it as well, and this is why I think Liverpool and City are by far away the two favourites for the title this season, because I'm looking at the summer that's been done already. You've got Ait Nouri, you've got Reinders, and you've got Cherki. Arguably, all three of them go into the team and start. I think Cherki, for me, might be the one that doesn't start as much, not because he's not good enough, but because of the competition, and Pep might just want to feel him into the lineup. Whereas if you look at the others, you got Ait Nouri's Premier League proven, and they needed another left back anyway. And then you've got Reinders, who's one of the best midfielders in Europe, and there's a position right there that needs improving. You look at Liverpool, Kirkes, for me, comes in and starts. Same with Frimpong, and Florian Wirtz is a no-brainer. So those two teams there, between them have signed 6 players that come in and arguably start for their teams. Moving on to Newcastle, Elanga. Does Elanga comfortably start for Newcastle? I think you'd probably say on the right-hand side ahead of Jacob Murphy, who had a decent season. And who else have they got? That's their only signing, I believe. Arsenal, Madueke doesn't comfortably start for me. Zubimendi starts, but if Thomas Partey was there, would he start? I don't know, because Partey's arguably been their best performer last season. Mosquera is a squad option, and Gyökeres, who hasn't been finalised yet, you would say that he comes in and starts. You know, so we're looking at City and Liverpool, as I said. Chelsea obviously brought in João Pedro and what's his name, and Liam Delap. João Pedro has now shown that he has to start, but you would have thought Liam Delap comes and start, but João Pedro has to start. Bino Gittins, for me, at this moment in time, if he plays on the left-hand side, will be starting by default because there's no one else there. Who else is there? And Asugo obviously come from Sporting. He's not a starter. So, yeah, again, you look at City and you look at Liverpool, they're the only two teams so far that have brought between them six players, and you would say that all three of them players for their teams all start. So this is where the gap is, you know. Big up to Pity Team from Cardiff. Big up. Yeah, big up, man. Where you from? Merthyr Tydfil? Llanelli? Cumran? Is it Cumran it's called? Let me know where you're from, man. Big up yourself as well for coming through. Sham says, Liverpool are cooking. I'm loving this transfer window, unlike United fans. Yeah, Sham, you know what? I knew you had to get that in, you know. Just when my day was going well, I knew you had to bring that in to dampen my mood, man. Do you know what? I thought I was going to get away without mentioning Man United because, as I said, man, it's just painful watching this team and seeing the nonsense that's going on. But listen, this Mbeumo, I'm not even going to talk about it today because I can't be bothered. It's just boring me. I just want to see United be linked with some more players, and once that happens, you know, this Mbeumo deal can get done if it does get done, and then just push to the back of the line, man, because it is boring, man, just listening to this time and time again, you know. But as I said, man, I thought I'd get through the stream without mentioning United. But again, Sham, I knew you'd bring that in. But listen, yeah, it's been an absolute joke, man. So hopefully they get it sorted out. Big up to Richard Zekudnik. Is that Polish? Do you support a football club? I think meant to support. I do. Man United is my team, as I was just speaking about a minute ago. Broderick says Pims is 30, but I'll give it a shot. Yeah, listen, Pims is mad. Don't knock Pims, man. Pims is the drink. Yeah. Yeah, listen. Pims is nice. So Bridget says, do you like Spurs? You know what? I think Spurs are a good team, and I think their manager Thomas Frank is underrated. Is underrated. You know, I think he's definitely shown with Brentford that he can get a team, you know, that isn't really on paper one of the big guns, but they were scoring goals at will with Hobbs and Shaw, Mbeumo and Visser, and the fact that he's gone Tottenham. Again, he wanted Mbeumo, but couldn't get him. And he's obviously got Kudus, who he's going to look at as his Mbeumo. And I think Tottenham under Thomas Frank will be more sturdier in defence, you know, and I think he's going to try and get them to score more goals. And again, with Postecoglou in charge, Tottenham's problem really wasn't going forward. It was just defence, you know, because they were always scoring goals. But I think, personally, Frank will make them more difficult to beat, in my opinion. And the fact that he's got Kudus in, he's trying to get Gibbs White. And I do think they'll sign a few more players. I can see Tottenham, you know, having a decent season for me, you know. And obviously they're in Champions League as well. So, yeah. So, guys, yeah, I'm just working back from some of your chat, man. So, apologies if I haven't gone through your chat. But, yeah, just bear with me. I'm just working my way through. So, can chat spam chat? It will make my daughter's day. I don't know what that means, man, but big up. Yeah, just touched on that one already. Big up to Rep Mayo as well. Amo says, all I know is my team's finishing top 3. I want to see a title challenge and break the 80 points mark. Amo, who's your team? If you're still in the chat, who's your team? Let me know, man. Yeah, yeah. Listen, Sham, man. I'll definitely be doing that, man. I'll definitely be doing that. Yeah, listen, I'll definitely be doing more drinking that red wine and coke, man. If anything, I might have another drink of that, man, because make it a double. Because this team's frustrating. As I said to you guys before, I feel desensitized to Man United because season after season they just don't get done what is needed. So as I said, man, it's just annoying talking about them. But the window's still open, and all I can do is hope. You know, that's all I can do. But yeah, it's been an absolute shambles, man, in terms of them taking their time. And this Embuemo deal should have been done time ago, you know, and they're just dragging their heels, man. So it's long, proper long, man. Yes, Richard, I've answered the question, man. What do you think of Tottenham's transfers? Yeah, listen, two good signings, man. Kudos, obviously Gibbs White hasn't been finalised, but that who knows what happens. I think they get it over the line. Obviously, Mattis Tell's been made a permanent as well. And I can see them signing more players, man, as well. Definitely, I can. I reckon Tottenham might at least get another two in before the window's done. You know, who it's going to be, I'm not sure. You know, it could be another striker to help Solanke. It could be another midfielder. Who knows? So Gamer says, what stadium is the best in UK? I think it might be actually be Tottenham's, actually, yeah. I mean, I haven't been there. I haven't been to Tottenham's new stadium. But yeah, I think it might be Tottenham's. Yeah, it might be Tottenham's. Oh, so you went there, Gamer, to watch the Usyk and Joshua. Okay. Yeah, big up, man. Big up. Must have been a great atmosphere there, man. But yeah, no, I think Tottenham has the best stadium. Tottenham might even have one of the best stadiums in the world for what they've done to that, yeah. Ammo says, Gav, what do you think of the Jackson links to United? You know what, Ammo, yeah? And over the last couple of days, I've been hearing a lot of nonsense, you know. I'm not Nicholas Jackson's biggest fan, you know. I think in terms of what Jackson offers, you know, he runs the channels, he can hold the ball up. For me, Jackson's very hit and miss, you know. But what I would say, some of the nonsense that I've been hearing over the last couple of days, saying that Jackson's shit and Man United should stay clear of Jackson. Listen, I don't want to hear no nonsense as long as Rasmus Højlund's still at the club. Because if Rasmus Højlund is still at Man United, I don't want to hear no one tell me that Jackson shouldn't be coming to the club. Because United currently have the worst striker in the league. You know, and Nicholas Jackson is miles better than Rasmus Højlund. So as long as Rasmus is at the club, I don't want to hear people say Jackson ain't good enough. I don't want to hear that because Jackson didn't score 4 league goals this season. Rasmus Højlund did, you know. So a lot of these fans are just biased or just delusional. So again, I'm not Jackson's biggest fan. The links to United, can I see it happening? I don't know. I don't really know what United's thinking is. But as I said, as long as Rasmus Højlund is at this club, then for me, there's no striker that's off the table. And that includes, I don't want Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, I don't want Calvert-Lewin. I don't want Vardy. I don't want Callum Wilson. But the thing is, when you've got Rasmus Højlund here, you can't really be turning your nose up because Man United currently have the worst striker in the league. So that's what I would say on that. But again, I don't want Jackson. But again, the striker market right now is limited. So who knows, man? Who knows? So Gamer says, I'm looking forward to Dubois versus Usyk. I hope Dubois will shock the world, but Usyk is too good. Yeah, listen, I'm gonna have that on, man. I'm gonna get that on Saturday, definitely. So yeah, 100%, man. I'm gonna be ordering that fight. But you know what? For me, Dubois is gonna be awkward for Usyk, but I just don't see no one beating Usyk. You know, Usyk's just another level, man. You get boxers like your Floyds, you know, like your Terence Crawfords. And I think Usyk is in that bracket, man. These guys, for me, just won't get beat because they're just different, you know. So, again, I think Dubois will cause problems, but I see Usyk getting the job done, man. I see him getting the job done. But it's going to be a great fight anyway. And I will definitely be watching that, 100%. Big up to Kenny. Kenny says, Isak's going nowhere this window. 3 years left on his contract. If he has another great season, his price won't go down. Up the Geordies. Yeah, big up to Kenny, man. As I said, Kenny, I have to agree with you. I don't see Isak moving anywhere. Again, his connection with the fans, how much Newcastle are going to want for him, you know, it's just going to be too much. And the only way Isak, as I said, possibly goes is if he comes out and says he wants to leave, which I don't see him doing. Because, again, his connection with the fans who hold him in high regard. So, as I said, man, yeah, I don't see it happening. Oh, Ammo, you're a Chelsea fan. Okay, bro. Big up, man. Big up. Listen, I was shocked at the result against PSG, man. I did not see that coming. I said PSG would be Chelsea 2-0 or 2-1, depending if Moises Caicedo played. And speaking of Moises Caicedo, Chelsea have arguably, for me, the top 3 best midfielders in the world, along with Pedri and Vitinha. You know, and to think that Moises Caicedo wasn't even nominated for Player of the Season in the Premier League, but Declan Rice was. Listen, we all know why that was. We all know. If you know, you know. But yeah, as I said, man, I'm happy for Caicedo because the way he's been overlooked this season by this country is an absolute disgrace. You know, to think that he never even got nominated for the Player of the Season, it just shows you him doing what he done in the Club World Cup. It just shows you that he's put a lot of these. He's put the English league in the mud, really, because he's that good. You know, he's that good. He's easily the best midfielder in the league with Rodri for me. When Rodri's fit, the 2 best midfielders, central midfielders, you're looking at Rodri and you're looking at Caicedo now, hands down. You know, I think Chelsea will be top 3, says Sham. I think if Chelsea get another couple of players, which I think they will do, then I'll go along with that. I will. But at the moment, I think it's touch and go with a few other teams. So how do you feel Chelsea win the FIFA World Cup? FIFA Club World Cup? Again, I was shocked, man. I think everything pointed towards PSG, definitely. But to be, you have to be honest. Chelsea deserved it, man. And the way that they set up with Reece James in midfield with Caicedo, if you look at the first 5 minutes of the game, just look at the starting positions of Reece James and Caicedo. They were so high up the pitch. Their intent was clear to press PSG and not give him any time. And again, masterstroke in bringing in João Pedro, who wants to run the channels. You know, Cole Palmer, as we know, doing what Cole Palmer does. You know. So, yeah, man, they thoroughly deserved it. And, again, Chelsea are one of them teams that when you think they're down and out, man, they just come back and just win trophies, you know, and credit to them, you know, credit to them. And as I said, I think the money that they've got from the sales, so they sold Madueke for 52 mil, Petrovic for 25. They won the Club World Cup, which I believe they got about 150 mil or something like that. They've got money to spend, I'm telling you. So I can see Chelsea bringing in a few players, man. Definitely. Definitely, I see them bringing in a few players. Big up to Sharon Goodwin, Nottingham Forest for life. Sharon, if you're still in the chat, Sharon, let us know, man. What do you think of Elanga and Gibbs White on the verge of going? Do you think Forest will have a good season with those two going? Or do you think that they might slip down the league and be battling to stay in the top half? What do you reckon? Big up yourself for coming through as well. Yeah, listen, it was a great performance from Chelsea in the final. So Broderick says, really want to see what Thomas Frank does with Bergvall and Gray. Spurs low-key have a decent squad. I agree, Broderick. I think if we look at Spurs' goalkeeper and back four, you know, Vicario in goal, Destiny Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, who's a hothead, and Pedro Porro. And then you got the likes of Jed Spence that can cover the both fullbacks. And then you got Kevin Danso as well. I think that's decent, you know, and I think Thomas Frank will make them a bit more stronger and reliable at the back there as well. Then in midfield, you got Bergvall, who was arguably one of their players of the season, you know, and who's young as well. Bissouma, I'm a massive fan of, but he had a poor season. And then you've got what's his name? Rodrigo Bentancur as well. You know, Madison, Kulusevski can now play. Kulusevski can now play in the play in the 10 because Kulis is there. And then you've got Son. Obviously, his legs are gone, but you know he can still pop up with a goal. Solanke, Matistel, who was poor, but you know he might have a better season under Thomas Frank. Richarlison as well. Gibbs White possibly coming in, and all of a sudden, you know, on Archie Gray, as you've mentioned, all of a sudden, you know, this Tottenham team don't look too bad. But yeah, I'm not sure if he plays Gray and Bergvall in the midfield together. But I think Thomas Frank's gonna do something with his team. I can just see it. Definitely, I can see it. Big up to Fazai as well. Guys, come on, make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel if you haven't done so already. We've got 23 likes on the channel. Let's at least try and hit 25 to 30, guys, if you haven't done so already. Remember, it's just one click of the button. And then, again, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you do. I believe, as I said, I'm 13 short of 1,200. So, yeah, keep your support coming. And if you enjoy the content, which is free, again, make sure you sub. Big up to Richard, says, who do you think will win the Ballon d'Or? Again, Richard, I think I've answered this, almost 50 times now. But again, I will answer this. So, for me, the two front runners for the Ballon d'Or are Lamine Yamal and Ousmane Dembele. I think if we're giving it to just the best footballer, it is Lamine Yamal. I was gonna say Rafinha, but the thing is, because Barca didn't win the Champions League, even though Rafinha got the numbers, I think if we're looking at the actual footballer, Yamal's a better footballer than Rafinha. But Rafinha got better numbers, but Yamal still got decent numbers as well. And then you look at Ousmane Dembele. Obviously, PSG won Champions League. They won like four trophies this season. And he had he had good numbers as well. So this is why I'm saying those two are the front runners for the Ballon d'Or. I think as it stands, I'm gonna see. I want Yamal to win it because Yamal for me is just a pure footballer. But I think Dembele might be the slight favourite right now. But again, I expect Yamal to dominate the Ballon d'Or for the foreseeable, for the next. If he stays clear of injury at the age he is now, I expect him to dominate the Ballon d'Or for the next 8 to 10 years easily. Because I don't see no one right now that's even close to him. And to be doing what he's doing at the age of 17. Being a key player for club and country, it's unheard of. Because players like that, they should be coming in and out of the team, you know, getting a 10-minute here and there. But the fact that he's a key player for club and country, and rightfully so, he can only go up and up and up, you know what I mean? So, but I'm going to say Dembele right now, but I could be wrong. But I think those two are the clear favourites right now, for sure. So Amo says, the thing with Nico is he's never actually been coached until he got signed, led by Emery at Villarreal. There's definitely a player in there, but he needs to be coached to be better. And he has to, no ego. Yeah, listen, I agree, man. I agree, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, Nicholas Jackson is no finished article by any means, you know. And but what I would say, he has his qualities, and there will be suitors after him if the price is lowered. And as I said, as a Man United fan, to think that I've got to put up with Rasmus Højlund, I don't want to hear no one tell me about Nicholas Jackson not being good enough, because I'm not here for that. You know what I mean? Big up to Chrism Ark as well. Says, if everyone humours the heart emoji, this action will help the digital algorithm direct people to the page. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But big up, man. Big up. Guys, make sure you listen to Chris and Mark, man. Humour the heart. So Sharon says, well, Elanga's already gone. It's just sad. He was a great player. I mean, I don't think he was a great player personally, but I know what you mean. I think for Forest he was a very good player. But he has been great for us though. And Gibbs White, if he goes to Tottenham, I will just be depressed, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. I think, Sharon, you know what it is, Sharon, yeah? I think in terms of what Elanga and Gibbs White have given to Nottingham Forest, you know, again, I think they were instrumental in being the most creative forces for Nottingham Forest. But I think Champions League football and the money that's on offer is too good to turn down. I mean, how Newcastle have paid 55 million for Elanga, I have to be honest, is daylight robbery, because there's no way a player like that should be going for that amount of money. But obviously Newcastle wanted him, and obviously parted money. And then obviously Gibbs White's got a 60 million release clause from what I've heard. So I think these things, you know, are likely to happen. But what I would say is, you know, can Nuno do what he did next season? It's unlikely. But if I think Nottingham Forest, I think if Nottingham Forest can manage a top half finish, you know, I think that's another good job done from Nuno in comparison to what he's lost. But I think this season might be a bit of a struggle, because unless you go out and get direct replacements for both of them players who were instrumental for them, I don't know. You know, Callum Hudson-Odoi is still there as well. So, you know, if he can stay clear of injury, he might be another good season for him. Yeah, big up, Chrism. Big up, man. Yeah, I think, I mean, from what I heard about, I think Sham mentioned it about Gibbs White. I think Gibbs White, has Gibbs White got a clause in his contract for 60 mil? Because I heard that Nottingham Forest were unhappy with the supposed tapping up. But the thing that I say is that even if they did tap him up, it doesn't make a difference, because they still got to, you know, agree to. They've still got to put the money in to trigger the clause. So that's what I would say. I think if it's a case where there's no release clause in there, then I can understand why Forest might be annoyed with that. But if he's got a release clause, then all they've got to do is trigger it, regardless if they tap him up or not. So I don't see what the big problem is. Who knows? Yeah, big up, Ammo, man. Appreciate it. Big up. So Chrism says Rafinha's number doesn't lie. But yeah, listen, Rafinha's numbers this season is mad. I think Rafinha got about, if I remember, it might be something like 54 or 55 GA this season. But the issue that I think he might have, I reckon if Rafinha won Champions League, I think the Ballon d'Or could have gone to Rafinha or Yamal. But I'm saying, even though Rafinha's got the numbers, Yamal's got numbers as well, not as good as Rafinha. But Yamal is the up and coming superstar, and is a better footballer. And then Dembele's in question because, again, PSG won Champions League and he got numbers, and they've had a very successful season. So that's why he's in the conversation for me. Sham says, I think this may be the most likes on Gav's stream. Yeah, big up, Sham, man. Big up. Appreciate it. It's at 25 at the moment. So, guys, if you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you smash the like button and help support the channel. So, once you smash the like button, it gets it out to more people. So, big up yourselves if you appreciate the content. Big up to Zaid Emad, says population of speech. Don't know what that means. So Gamer says Eddie Howe will make Elanga worth more than 55 million by end of season with his great player management. Gamer, listen. If Eddie Howe makes Elanga more than 55 mil a season, bro, I'll pay you money, because I mean, he's gonna have a good season, I believe, because the way Newcastle play. But to say that Elanga's gonna be an 80 million pound player or whatever, there's no way that's gonna happen. There's no way I'm gonna watch football for the amount of years I've been watching it to see Elanga be valued at 80 mil or something like that. So yeah, I can't see that, man. No way. But I reckon he's gonna suit their system. That's what I will say. Big up to Tommy Vision. So Tommy says, Gav, you should make memberships. Yeah, bro. I mean, I can't do that yet until I get monetized. So once I get monetized, then listen, yeah, I'll start doing that, man. Obviously, if you guys obviously enjoy the stream, man, then keep coming through, man, and help me reach that goal. So as I said, yeah, I will start doing that once I start getting monetized, you know. But again, that's what I'm working towards, you know. But big up, man. Ammo says NF put the clause in. Do you know what? When you said NF, man, I was thinking something else. But yeah, big up, man. Put the clause in when he signed from Wolves. Thing is, they should have renegotiated his contract when he was killing it. That's on Nottingham Forest. Fair play, and any team that activates the clause, shame it's Spurs. But yeah, I mean, but Gibbs White, realistically, Ammo, Gibbs White is not a. I mean, he's probably in this window, he's probably a 50, 60 million pound player anyway, you know. So I reckon if they put a clause in his contract which was higher than that, no one comes in for him because he's had a good season, but he's not worth more than 60 million. You know, I think 60 million is probably pushing it even still. So yeah, I think it's probably a fair price, I would say. But what I think is yeah, he's definitely someone that shouldn't be going for more than 60 mil, in my opinion. Big up to Lebo Gang Moyo. Yeah, big up for coming through. So Gamer says, when you getting monetized? Well, listen. Hopefully very soon. That's what I will say. But, you know, obviously going to keep working on the channel. You know, keep putting the content out. You guys keep coming through. And that's what happened. That's all that matters, really. And then, yeah, hopefully it'll be sooner than later, put it that way. So Tommy Vision says, do you remember me from like 2 months ago? Tommy, you know what? I do actually. The name rings a bell, man. I think I was on a co-stream with someone else when you come through, man. But yeah, big up yourself for coming back through anyway. Guys, we're going to go for another 5-10 minutes. And obviously I'm going to wrap it up. But yeah, if you've got any more questions, anything general football, then yeah, let me know, man. And I'll go through your questions again as well. So let's go through. Let me see. Yeah, exactly, Sham. That's what I'm going to start doing, man. So once I start getting monetized, man, all that will happen. Super chats, all that. Yeah, listen. That's the next steps. So Chrism Ark says, I think Gibbs White is the same level as Rodgers, but that's just me. Do you know what? I'm a massive fan of Morgan Rodgers. I think Morgan Rodgers can go and play for any team in the world. I think he's that good. I think Morgan Rodgers is better than Gibbs White, in my opinion. I rate him highly. So, yeah, as I said, I think he can go and play for any team in the world. I think he's that good, you know. So, you know, whether he stays at Aston Villa, I'm not sure. But I think there's going to be suitors after him if he starts angling for a move. But who knows? Who knows? English tax, I'd say 70 million. City were linked early on in the summer and walked away because Forest tried to get 90 mil. 90 mil what? For Gibbs White? Nah, no way. 90 million for Gibbs White. Yeah, I mean, this is where football's gone for me. Because Gibbs White's a good player, but there's no way he's worth 90 mil. I think 60 mil's too much. So, yeah. Guys, come on. Yeah, 5 minutes and then I'm going to wrap, man. So, make sure you get your questions in as well. So, Ammo says, what's your main minimum expectations of Amorim next season? Yeah, bro, great question. So, again, some of you have probably heard me say this already. For me, I'm just gonna keep it real like this, Ammo. So for me, I wanted this manager out at the end of the season because last season was a complete complete joke. You know, before the Aston Villa game, I believe he got 9 points in 2025. You know, there's so many things wrong this manager has done. His persistence in playing Rasmus Højlund, his love for Bruno Fernandes, the Mason Mount, the way he likes him, the fact that he knew that he was going to let Rashford, Anthony and Malacia go out on loan, knowing he couldn't get any replacements and still sanction that. You know, there's so many things I can go on to. For me, my energy towards the manager is because I wanted him out after that final as well against Tottenham, which I forgot. And again, he was a coward in that final. So for me, the minimum expectations are the first 5 games of the season. If he's got Arsenal first game of the season, then he's got Fulham, Burnley, Man City, Chelsea. Yeah? For me, out of those 5 games, I expect at least 2 wins. I don't know where he's going to get the wins from. You'd think Burnley at home definitely, and possibly Fulham away. But he needs at least 2 wins, maybe 3, where I can say, do you know what? Fair enough. He's done a decent job. If he doesn't get anything more than 2 to 3 wins, they have to sack him, because I can't see him being there for the long term anyway, because he ain't good enough. But for me, yeah, he has to navigate his way through those first 5 games of the season, which is going to be difficult. But unfortunately, this is where it's at, and that's how I'm going to judge him. If he happens to survive after those 5 games after doing poor, then we'll know what's really going on with this club, because last season was unacceptable. Regardless of what anyone says, he didn't have his players, this nonsense. He was brought in as a coach, first and foremost. Any job of a coach, as we know, is to make players better. And unfortunately, not one player has got better under this manager. You know, so I don't want to be hearing he hasn't got his own players, because you was brought in to improve the team, and he hasn't done that. So he's survived, fair enough. But the first 5 games of the season, I want to see at least 2 to 3 wins. And if it doesn't happen, then he has to go for me, you know. So Sham says, no one knows the expectations because apart from Cunha, they're not buying players or getting rid of any players. Again, that is true, but the manager has to make it work, because I refuse to accept, if United lose all 5 games, this manager is absolved from blame. It's nonsense. He still has to put a team out there and coach these players, regardless if these players are not good enough. Because any rule of a coach is to improve players, regardless of what anyone says. And as I said, if he's incapable of improving his players, why is he here? Because there's no manager in world football that will get given their own, that will keep getting given their own players. Because you have to prove that you're doing a good job with the players you have already. And unfortunately, he's not doing that. So, yeah, he has 5 games. It's as simple as that for me, you know. But big up, man. Great question. Yeah, guys, come on. 2 more likes to hit the 30 like target. Come on. At least 30. Let's try and hit. There's 17 of you in there at the moment. Let's try and hit 30. Been a great stream, guys, so far, man. As I say, go for another couple of minutes. I want to try and at least hit 30 likes before we wrap, guys. So we're on 28 at the moment. So if you're enjoying the stream, smash the like button, just one press of the button. And again, make sure you sub to the channel as well. So Regnack says, do 100 push-ups. Why? Why need to do 100 push-ups? What a random question. Big up, Regnack, man. Regnack says, why are you sitting down? Because I'm doing a stream, you clown. What are you talking about? What do you mean, why am I sitting down? what kind of question is that? Listen, if you're not going to contribute to the channel, man, you're not forced to be here. You know what I mean? Like, coming on asking dumb questions is stupid. You know? Yeah, big up, gamer, man. Like, anyone coming there talking shit, man, just time them out or get rid of them. I ain't got time for that, man. We're only on there to have serious football talk, man. I ain't got time for idiots coming on there. But big up, man. So Chris Mark says, until United rid the rotten apples out the cart, the rest of the apples will soon turn. Do you know what, Chris Mark? I understand where you're coming from, but to be honest with you, the casualty is always going to be the manager, regardless of what people say, because you can't get rid of 20 players when you know what I mean? That's never going to happen. So the manager's always, the buck falls with the manager, unfortunately, yeah? Now, the thing with the manager, if I could see the team were playing good football, if I could see he was picking the right players, I would have more sympathy for him. But I'm sorry, yeah? His love for Bruno Fernandes, the Rasmus Højlund, you know, going 20-odd games without scoring a goal. Mason Mount comes from nowhere and starts games again. You know, he was playing Garnacho ahead of certain players at certain times. The manager, for me, has no leg to stand on, you know, and Man United had a chance to get rid of Bruno Fernandes because regardless of what people say, Bruno Fernandes is one of the biggest problems at Man United. He has a bad attitude, you know, and he has the keys to Old Trafford in the sense of doing what he wants to do for the team, yeah? Now, the manager had the chance to get money in for him for a player that's going to be turning 31 years of age, and then you could have used that money to kind of revamp the team, yeah? He chose to keep Bruno Fernandes because he loves the guy, obviously compatriot. So when we're saying get rid of the bad apples, Bruno Fernandes is one of those apples, and the manager chose to keep a bad apple. Don't get me wrong, there is others as well, the likes of Rashford, you know, the likes of Luke Shaw, like those three in particular for me, the likes of Garnacho. Those guys need to be out the club. But the manager had a chance to make a statement and get rid of the captain, Bruno Fernandes, and start afresh. He chose to keep him, so unfortunately, he's got to lie with that. He's got to take blame of that decision because Bruno Fernandes doesn't have a natural position in this lineup. He doesn't. But the manager's going to keep shoehorning him into the team at the expense of others. So the manager has to take the full criticism for me. And until the likes of, and I've been saying this for years, until Bruno Fernandes, Rasmus Højlund, Garnacho, Rashford, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, until the core of those players are out the club, then United ain't going nowhere. I know people are going to tell me Onana. Onana is a problem, but he isn't the biggest problem amongst them guys. Jadon Sancho for me is not a problem. He's not. You know, Anthony for me is not a problem. The ones I've mentioned, they're massive problems because they're either not good enough or they have too much of a say in the team and have been for years. So until that happens, you know, the club are going to continue to keep falling. But hopefully Ineos are trying to eradicate that anyway. Big up to Jackson Bowater. Big up for coming on. Guys, come on, let's try and hit 30 likes. We're on 28. You know, just need 2 more likes to try and reach the target. You know, as I said, if it's your first time in there, sub to the channel as well, guys. Big up yourselves. Big up for tuning in, guys. Yeah, each and every time. Big up to Alexandru 100. Yeah, big up for coming on. Big up to Sigma Mike as well. So Sigma Mike says, are Arsenal cooking this window? It's a resounding no. They can't be cooking because you don't sign Noni Madueke and tell me you're cooking because that's a poor signing, man. I mean, if Arsenal fans are serious with themselves, they can't be happy with that signing because, yeah, it's an absolute joke, man, Noni Madueke. And again, I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I don't really care. But I'm just talking from an honest point of view where Arsenal finished second 3 times in a row. The players they need to be bringing in to take them to another level are players that come in and start. And for me, Noni Madueke doesn't come in and start unless Arteta forces him to start in a different position. So for me, that's poor. Again, Thomas Partey, you lost and replaced him with Zubamendi. Zubamendi is a very good footballer and is a better footballer than Partey. but you're losing part of his physicality in this league, which is going to be crucial. Mosquera, as I said, is a squad player who isn't going to displace Gabriel or Saliba, and they're looking at bringing in Gyökeres, which hasn't been finalised. And again, Gyökeres will, you think, start, but that means your highest earner. What's going to happen to him in Kai Havertz? These are questions that Arsenal got to answer, unfortunately. So Chrism Ark says it was Bruno that chose to stay to stay. But again, Chrism Ark, what I'm trying to say to you, the decision should have been out of Bruno's hands. This is the problem. If Bruno wanted to stay, if Ineos had anything about them, or if the manager had anything about him, they would have forced the guy out the club, because you're going to get 100 million for a guy that doesn't even suit the system, and he's turning 31 next season. So Bruno only stayed because the club didn't force the issue. This is what I'm trying to say to you. This is the massive problem. If the club made it clear to Bruno that he was surplus to requirements, Bruno would have gone. You know, and again, I think Bruno was dilly-dallying with Al Hilal. They obviously got fed up and tried to go for Edison in the end. But I think the club didn't make it obvious to Bruno that he wasn't needed. They were just messing around, and then Bruno probably was itching to stay. And if I'm Bruno, again, he's got everything at Man United. He does what he wants, which is the problem. The money on offer would have been obviously generational wealth for Bruno Fernandes, but the club didn't make it clear that he had to move on, and this is the issue. So, yeah. Right, guys, I'm going to go through a few more of your chats, and then I'm going to wrap, yeah? Sigma Mike says, who United signed for the striker position? As I've mentioned, Sigma Mike, I don't think the striker position is that essential. I think if United, as I said before, get Mbeumo in to go with Cunha, you've got two wide forwards there that can score goals. You restore Joshua Zirkzee back to being a striker. And then you've got Zirkzee, who can facilitate for the wide players to get numbers. And he'll chip in as well. However, Jean-Philippe Mateta, I would like. You know, I think out of Premier League proven strikers, I think if United can get him, someone that's experienced as well, you know, I would be happy with. But if United don't get another striker, put Zirkzee back up top. Mbeumo and Cunha can both play as strikers as well if need be. And then you go and get a couple of central midfielders and another number 10. And I won't be too unhappy with that. Big up to Binny Mesfin as well. So Chris Mark says, I'm sure I saw Amorim said he could go. I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree Bruno Cash would have been massive blessing. Nah, bro, listen. It's not it's not about disagreeing, man. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm just giving you my point of view. But the fact of the matter is, Amorim's the one that played a massive part in Bruno staying. Because Amorim doesn't want to lose him. Again, he's a compatriot. He's his captain. So Amorim didn't want to lose him. And I don't really blame Amorim. I blame Ineos for not taking it out of Bruno and Amorim's hand. They should have just said to Bruno, look, we're accepting the bid. You're going to turn 31 next season. We want the money. And keep it moving. But they didn't do that. They allowed the manager to keep him on side and keep the guy and let Bruno stay. So I'm not even blaming them. You know, I'm blaming Ineos for that. Have to agree with the Arsenal insights there. Thoughts on Chelsea? Looks like they are building or will be a top 4 next year, I think. Yeah, listen, I think Chelsea, for me, they're going to sign another couple more players, I believe. The money that they've got from the Club World Cup, as I mentioned, I'll be very surprised if they don't bring in at least 2 more players in key positions. You know? You can say to him that if Bruno would have seen from the club that they wanted to sell him, he would have gone. Because that money you don't turn down. They obviously didn't make it clear to Bruno that they wanted him to go, which is why Bruno stayed. And again, that's a decision that they're going to have to live with. Because I can tell you this for free now, United are not going to get that offer again for Bruno Fernandes. They're not. Because Bruno's on a decline as well. So, Man United have messed up there. So, I'm not saying they can physically force him out by pushing him out. But they could have made it known to Bruno Fernandes that they wanted to move on without him. And again, Bruno actually came out and said the club don't want him, then he's happy to move on. So, again, this is the problem. Guys, come on, one more like to hit 30 before the stream's done. Big up yourselves for coming through, as I said. Yeah, listen, bro just wanted to take one for the team. Yeah, I agree, man. Big up to Forested Mountain, says we should have sold to Jassim, willing to do it and clear the debt. Yeah, listen, I'm not really here for the Arab talk. You know, there was too many people that didn't want that didn't want Qatar to own it. Now we're obviously United are stuck with the Glazers and Jim Ratcliffe, so it's wasted breath going over stuff that we can't change. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, Glazers are still here; they're gonna be still here. All I'm interested in is what's being done on the pitch, and that's all I care about right now. And at the moment, between Ineos in terms of this summer so far, and Amarim, it's not good enough. Big up to Lominus for coming through. So Amo says, yeah, we're looking at Hato for Cucurella, backup, another attacker. Yeah, Yoro Hato, man. I think Liverpool looking at him as well. He'll be a very good signing. Left back or centre back. I hear it. Big up to Andy as well for coming through. Guys, listen, we're going to wrap up here anyway. But, guys, listen. One of the best streams so far. You know, we got, what, 28 likes, 29 likes. You know, big up yourselves each and every time for coming through. It's much appreciated. As I said, guys, if you smash that like button, it helps with the channel to grow and reach more people. As I said, like, I've got a lot of content on there. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you check out my other content. Check out my playlist as well. So, guys, on the playlist, you know, I've got my Next Gen 50, which is the best young 50, 50 young players in the game right now. You know, I think it's under 21. You know, I've got loads of different playlists on there. As I said, man, it's if you do enjoy the content, then give that a check. And I'm live. Listen, I'm literally live like every day. So again, if you enjoy the stream, make sure you sub to the channel, and your notifications are on as well. And just check my schedule to see when I go live. So yeah, big up Ammo, man. Big up for coming through. First time in there, and as I said, man, it's much appreciated. But yeah, guys, been going for obviously about an hour and a half now. So yeah, big up yourselves each and every time for coming on. Big up to all the mods as always, and all the newcomers as well. It's much appreciated. Your chats in the your comments, sorry, in the live chat. And guys, I should be back tomorrow again. Keep an eye on the schedule as well to see when I go live. But yeah, great stream. 28 likes. Happy with that. And as I said, make sure, guys, as well, once the stream's ended, if you've got any comments to make sure you put that in the after the stream has ended, and let me know what you think about what happens with Isak. Sorry, guys, just seen some news. Guys, if Lamine Yamal has been given number 10 shirt, actually confirmed, Lamine Yamal number 10, which was obvious, you know. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously, it was in the hands of, as we know, Ronaldinho, Messi, most recent Ansu Fati. But yeah, Lamine Yamal, now number 10. So again, guys, 17 years of age, key player for club and country, number 10 on his back. Yeah, madness. But guys, as I said, big up yourselves each and every time for coming through. Smash the like button, sub to the channel. I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.